the next story, which is Apple hit with a $2 billion antitrust fine in its case against Spotify. So this is happening in the European Union. So I'm actually just kind of getting up to speed on this with everybody who's listening to the pod right now. But effectively, Brussels on Monday fined Apple 1.84 billion euros or $2 billion US for thwarting competition from music streaming rivals via restrictions on its app store, the iPhone maker's first ever penalty for breaching EU rules. So effectively, they just made it hard or impossible for other quote unquote music competitors that would compete against the Apple iTunes music store to be able to participate on their app. So considered antitrust, which would be considered more of like trying to monopolize the market and going against this idea of the free market and letting people choose whatever they want. And Apple has done that, and they won by basically, that's how they beat BlackBerry, right? Is they had the phone, but they also controlled the distribution of the apps, which is what people really want.
The ecosystem,
yeah. So they had the ecosystem. And so that's now changing. That's coming back to bite them in the ass, which is funny because, you know, BlackBerry was mid 2000s. Yeah. It was popular. So it's been going on for, call it 20 years now. And nobody said anything until a company big enough like Spotify starts to throw a fit, right? And they have deep enough pockets to go heads up with these guys. So it's very interesting to see all these big companies all fighting with each other and suing each other. You know, Elon, OpenAI, everything that already happened at Twitter, Spotify, Apple. I think that opens the door for the smaller players to come in and be competitive. And
I was just about to say that. Yeah,
I was watching a video with actually Jeff Bezos, and he was saying that exact thing, that smaller companies have a more competitive advantage because they're still really close to the customer and everybody still really cares. But as you get bigger, you get more bureaucratic, you have more layers of management, so on and so forth. You care less about the customer and you care more about your team, your balance sheet, payroll, your constituents, your stock price, right? Your board, your advisory, and you start to lose sight of the customer. And I think we're in this era where things are shifting and shaping the kind of the next, call it 20 years. Right. And if you're a creative, more call it pioneering entrepreneur, now would be the time to do it. I'm generally against most people going out there and trying to pioneer new territory. There's that saying that pioneers take the arrows, but settlers take the land. And I think that's true, but there is time and a place for when it's time to pioneer stuff. And we're in this shift right now with technology, economy, global economy. The whole world is changing pretty drastically.
Yeah. And it's almost like there's a ticking clock and the big boys are fighting for the constant while the change is actually disrupting the status quo, right?
Exactly.
Because I mean, even just look like blockchain. There's a music streaming component to blockchain. Yep. That is going to be a part of the future for sure.
There's a podcasting platform. There's a social media platform. I mean, there's a second layer 2, like Lightning Network built on top of that. Our buddy Bobby works at Voltage, which is doing some pretty tremendous things over there.